The Nigerian Civil War, long buried under layers of history, stands as a painful scar on the country's timeline, resounding with the anguish of countless people trapped amid the violence. Known also as the Biafra War, this savage fight ripped Nigeria in two from 1967 through 1970, setting family members against family members in a fierce battle for existence and independence. While the globe observed, millions perished, mostly from hunger, marking one of the 20th century's gravest humanitarian disasters. Welcome to the land of history, where we plunge into the Nigerian Civil War, probing the core of the struggle and examining how a country could spiral into such deep splits and carnage. Grasping the Nigerian Civil War's roots requires knowing Nigeria's intricate background. The land now called Nigeria once housed a wide array of ethnic communities, each boasting unique customs, tongues, and ways of life. Many groups dwelled there, but three loomed largest. First, the Igbo, forming 60 to 70% of the Southeast's residents. The Hausa Fulani, making up roughly 65% in the north, and the Yoruba, who were about 75% of the Southwest's population. Up north, the semi-feudal, staunchly Muslim Hausa Fulani operated under a strict autocratic order rooted in age-old practices. This rigid setup revolved around more than 30 emirs, each holding vast sway in their territories, all answering to one ultimate sultan. That sultan served as the fountainhead of all governance and spiritual command. In the southwest, the Yoruba setup echoed the north's Hausa Fulani model, built on monarchs called Obas. Yet unlike the north's unyielding chain of command, Yoruba ways opened doors for advancement through earned riches and honors, not just bloodlines. The southeast's Igbo, differing from the other main groups, resided in some 600 self-governing, democratically run villages. Unlike the more top-down Hausa Fulani and Yoruba structures, Igbo choices came from assemblies where all men could speak. Such varied governance among these three fostered starkly different habits and beliefs. Europeans coming reshaped Nigeria's path dramatically. They started as coastal merchants and slave traders, but their goals expanded fast. Turning into colonizers, they pushed inland via commerce. Britain pieced Nigeria together as a multi-nation entity starting in 1900, creating the northern and southern protectorates, plus Lagos Colony. With its mix of tribes and ethnicities, clashing faiths, politics, and cultures created hurdles that often stalled governance.
Britain's key move to mold Nigeria into a modern nation was merging the North and South's admin zones on January 1, 1914, under Frederick Lugard. Even after this official blend, rule styles diverged sharply by area. The South, especially the East, faced direct British control, while the North used indirect rule, letting local emirs handle routine tasks. This let northern emirs keep their old political and faith-based systems intact, curbing social shifts there for decades. In the South, missionaries built churches and schools, spreading Christianity and Western learning far and wide. The North saw little of this. By independence in 1960, the North lagged far behind, with literacy at only 2% versus 19.2% in the East. The West, first hit by Western schooling, enjoyed far better reading rates. Meanwhile, overcrowding in Igbo lands, paired with a fierce drive for better lives, sent throngs of Igbo elsewhere in Nigeria for jobs. Into the 1960s, the Igbo grew tight-knit politically and thrived economically, with merchants and educated leaders thriving beyond their southeast base across the nation. Igbos tend to be the sort driven to lead everywhere they go. In any village or town they enter, they seek to control it all. Put them in a work camp as basic laborers, and in a year, they'll aim to lead it. In 1946, via the Richards Constitution, Britain split southern Nigeria into the eastern and western regions. The unaffected north kept its edge in numbers and size. Through the 1940s and 1950s, Igbo and Yoruba leaders and parties drove the independence charge. Key names like Nnamdi Azikiwe and Chief Obafemi Awolowo fueled the effort. Northern chiefs hesitated on freedom, fearing takeover by advanced southerners. Eventually, under leaders like Sir Ahmadu Bello, they backed independence but insisted on safeguards for northern states post-colonies. Parties then formed on regional ethnic bases. North's Hausa Fulani launched the Northern People's Congress, NPC. West's Yoruba created the Action Group. East's Igbo headed the National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroons, NCNC, soon the National Convention of Nigerian Citizens. Despite its scale, the North fell short of total control in the 1959 federal elections, so the NPC allied with the East's top NCNC. The Action Group, started in 1951 by Awolowo, took opposition seats. Alhaji Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, a trusted northerner. From October 1960 independence to the January 1966 coup, political storms repeatedly endangered Nigeria's republic. Take 1962. A major Western crisis triggered an emergency declaration there. It centered on Samuel Ladoke Akintola and Chief Obafemi Awolowo. Awolowo, famed nationalist and ex-Western premier, eyed national roles as federal opposition head. He pushed socialism, clashing with Akintola's conservative, local-first stance. Tensions boiled until Awolowo's group ousted Akintola from the AG. Akintola clung to his Western premier post, sparking riots and chaos. Prime Minister Tafawa Balewa's federal team declared emergency rule on May 29, 1962.
This move halted the regional administration and placed an overseer in charge to bring back stability. Later on, Chief Awolowo faced arrest and treason charges for allegedly scheming to topple the central authority, which only worsened the turmoil. Meanwhile, in 1963, calls for more voice and self-rule, especially from Western minorities, led to splitting off the Midwest region from the West. Benin City served as the Midwest's hub, mainly home to Edo, Urobo, Itsekiri, and nearby groups. By 1964, the NCNC-NPC partnership had fallen apart completely. A big trigger was the disputed national headcount that tipped numbers in the North's favor over the South. Always remember to share our stories, like, and subscribe to support us. That disputed count triggered charges of faked numbers everywhere, with regions blaming each other for rigging stats to grab power. The risks were huge, since population stats shaped seats in the National Assembly and fund shares across areas, turning true counts into a battle for control and cash. The distrust from the 1963 count spilled into the late 1964 national vote. This time around, the voting faced fights, fraud claims, and result uproar. NCNC allies even tried skipping the polls, ramping up strife. Strife peaked as Prime Minister Tafawa Balewa butted heads with President Nnamdi Azikiwe. A deal struck on January 7, 1965, birthed a fresh coalition setup, keeping Tafawa Balewa as Prime Minister and adding Festus Okoti Ebo as finance head. Still, this fix barely touched root problems, and folks saw Nigeria's mess as just delayed, not fixed. Back then, graft, vote scams, and thuggery ran wild in Nigeria, worst after the shaky 1964 national vote and 1965 Western polls full of rigging cries. Such disorder and rot, plus North's grip on national politics, bred deep letdown in the army and everyday people. That broad frustration set the stage for young soldiers to topple the regime and fix things. On January 15, 1966, a group from the Nigerian forces, led by Major Chukwuma Nzeogu out of Kaduna, moved to dismantle federal rule. These junior officers didn't just want a takeover, they sought a full uprising to smash the old setup. In the coup's hits up north, Sir Ahmadu Bello, Sokoto's Sardauna and area premier, got killed. Down west, Chief Samuel Ladoke Akintola met the same end. In Lagos, Federal Prime Minister Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa and Finance Minister Chief Festus Okoti Ebo fell too. Every leader cut down in this strike was Fulani or Yoruba. Plus, 9 top army men died in the chaos.
Major Chukwuma Nzeogwu, Sandhurst trained, spoke to the country from Kaduna for the Supreme Council of the Revolution. In his words, he stated, and I quote, "Our foes include the political hustlers, the cheats, the bribe-takers high and low who grab their 10% cut, the dividers who keep Nigeria split to cling to minister posts and wasteful VIP spots, the tribal pushers, the favor riggers, the ones who made our land seem grand but empty abroad, the corruptors who dragged our politics backward by talk and action." Major Nzeogwu, clamping martial law on northern zones, rolled out orders with death sentences for crimes like theft, bribes, graft, rape, same-sex acts, or anything blocking the revolt. Yet this first strike, wiping out top politicians, didn't last. Government-loyal forces under Major General Aguiyi Ironsi took back charge fast and reset federal power. On January 16, 1966, General Ironsi grabbed the helm, naming himself Nigeria's initial military ruler. The takeover now seems like a plain army pushback on official corruption, one set to stick with public support. Its true drivers stand out clearly. Army Chief General Aguiyi Ironsi stepped up, hitting the fortified parliament for the new crew's debut media talk. But his Igbo roots soon stirred trouble, especially north side, where the putsch looked like an Igbo plot. Ironsi's rule sharpened north-south rifts from multiple causes. Though it flopped, the coup got seen as Igbo boosting, given 4 of 5 planners were Igbo, and Ironsi, also Igbo, eyed for stacking army posts with Igbos over Yoruba and Hausa ranks. Tension spiked more on May 24 with his order for a single-state system, no parties or tribal politics groups, hinting at 3 more years of rule. That order, merging civil service too, joined North brass rejecting northernization in jobs and public roles, stoking North fears of educated Southerners snagging work. North folks hit back hard and fast. Office workers and youth staged anti-regime marches that blew up into full riots hitting Igbos in Sabongari, those outsider zones in northern cities. Scores of Igbos died, their stuff trashed.
Always remember to share our stories, like and subscribe to support us. As trouble swelled, Northern Army men under Lieutenant Colonels Murtala Muhammad, Theophilus Danjuma, and crew plotted a comeback strike. On July 29, 1966 night, they unleashed hits on the army regime. In the strike, General Aguiyi Ironsi and his host, Western Governor Lieutenant Colonel Adekunle Fajuyi, got nabbed and savagely slain in Ibadan. In the messy wake, Yakubu Gowon, a youthful, lower-ranked northerner from a minor group, Christian teetotaler soldier, rose as the new head. Yakubu Gowon earned nods for his straight-edge ways and grasp of army work, plus skill at consulting and uniting views. He held firm to One Nigeria ideals. While the July coup worked across much of Nigeria, it bombed in the east under Lieutenant Colonel Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu, the military governor there. Ojukwu, a magnetic Igbo, got picked by General Aguiyi Ironsi in his short stint atop. Born November 4, 1933 in Zungeru, up north in Nigeria, to Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu, a rich Igbo trader, Ojukwu got his early schooling in Lagos and elsewhere. His sharp mind grew further at Epsom College in England, then at Oxford's Lincoln College studying history. Back in Nigeria by 1956, he bucked family wishes, skipping his dad's business to join the army instead. Ojukwu earned his officer spot in the Nigerian military in 1957, fresh from England's Sandhurst Academy. He climbed ranks fast, and by 1966, his command skills and pull made him military boss of the eastern area.
Come July 1966, Ojukwu stood tall in Nigeria's power scene, fighting hard for Eastern folks' safety amid rising ethnic rifts. After taking charge, Lieutenant Colonel Yakubu Gowon worked to steady Nigeria and fix his forerunner, General Aguiyi Ironsi's splitting rules. On August 31st, he brought back the old regional setup, a big turn toward federal ways that better matched the country's varied needs. Gowon also rolled out forgiveness policies, freeing big-name captives like Chief Obafemi Awolowo, locked up since his 1962 treason case, and ex-Eastern Premier Dr. Michael Okpara. Still, Lieutenant Colonel Chukwuemeka Ojukwu wouldn't calm down. Over radio, he claimed the July coup had already cracked Nigeria in half. That rang true when fresh attacks on Easterners hit the north, way bloodier than last time. Now, the goal wasn't just payback, it was driving Easterners out for good. Long-brewing hate, bitterness, and doubt from Northerners toward these outsider Eastern pockets burst into a full slaughter. Federal bosses did zilch to halt it, and Northern soldiers pitched in on the frenzy. Chaos killed or hurt thousands of Easterners. As attacks ramped up, a huge flight kicked off. Hundreds of thousands of traders, craftsfolk, office workers, and hands bolting Northern homes, ditching everything to hide in the East. Panic hit Igbos nationwide, pulling in more like bureaucrats and scholars to the rush. By late 1966, over 1 million refugees, beat up, worn out, and scarred, piled into the eastern zone. For Ojukwu and his Igbo inner crew, many uprooted clerks and thinkers, breaking away, started looking real. The East, packed with prime oil zones, pumped real cash, feeding thoughts of a standalone state's money flow.
To rally backing for splitting off, Ojukwu hammered genocide scares non-stop, while his Eastern setup blasted radio and papers to keep folks on edge, pumping out tales of past killings and doomsday warnings ahead. This not only glued Igbos against the North menace, but built a huge push for independence. To patch things up and dodge war through talks, Ghana's General Joseph Ankara hosted a meeting in Aburi, Ghana, in January 1967. Aburi deals called for a slacker Nigerian federation, rotating army and police leads, plus blocks on more takeovers. Post-meet, though, East hopes clashed hard with federal moves. Lieutenant Colonel Ojukwu saw Aburi as handing regions big self-rule, shrinking central clout big time. He banked on quick rollout, giving areas grip on their safety and admin. Back home, though, Yakubu Gowon hit pushback from aides and Poles spooked by loose reins. Furious at the flip, next month Lieutenant Colonel Ojukwu called any federal steps void in the East, saying they'd trashed Aburi pacts. Step by step, Ojukwu and Igbo breakaways cut East links to the Union. Orders booted out non-Easterners and grabbed Eastern say over federal firms, rails, schools, courts. On April 1, 1967, the East nabbed part of federal cash raked from its turf, blaming late payouts on their cut and refugee paychecks. Yakubu Gowon and the federal side fired back, cutting services and tightening East cash swaps abroad, heating the clash more. The split spark was federal brass's May 27 call for 12 new states, wiping out the old 4 regions and capital zone. East saw it as a straight-up kill shot. This setup yanked Igbo-heavy Port Harcourt and key oil lands from the main Igbo bulk in the new East Central chunk. Eastern heads viewed it as a Buri betrayal, which stressed more regional power. So Lieutenant Colonel Ojukwu called an urgent Eastern Nigeria consultative assembly huddle on the state carve-up. The group nixed the setup and greenlit Ojukwu to proclaim freedom. At 2 a.m. May 30, 1967, Colonel Ojukwu broadcast a landmark word from Enugu's State House. I now formally state that eastern Nigeria's land and zone, plus shelves and waters, stands free as sovereign under Republic of Biafra. Federal Nigeria slammed the East split, and Biafra launched an outlaw revolt. They cut comms and mail to Biafra, banned overseas cash deals, slapped light port blockades. By July, Nigeria's mini-navy locked it down totally, hitting oil ships too. That month, Gowon teams' police action to smash secession took northern Biafra towns. Feds thought Biafra would fold quickly at war start, but Biafra built an army fast from 2,000 army defectors. By July 1967, it hit about 25,000 fighters. The fresh Biafra outfit swelled with civilians, kids, volunteers from Igbo ranks and East minorities backing the fight. To lock in Igbo loyalty in wartime, especially youth, Biafra pushers fed region folks and scholars yarns of Nigeria hate. They flashed grim pics of 1966 northern Igbo slaughter victims. July 1967, 8 federal battalions pushed from north into Biafra, hitting stiff pushback from dug-in Biafrans. Then, August 9th, Biafrans swung west boldly, fording the Niger River to grab Benin City, Sapele, Ughelli ports. That Niger cross by Biafrans threatened all Nigeria, kicking off true civil war. Fed edge and numbers and gear soon tipped scales their way. October 4th, 1967, Feds took Enugu, Biafra's heart. Year-end, they nabbed Calabar, number 2 port. Early 1968, Feds snapped Onitsha, a vital port trade hub, then Aba, Owerri, Umuahia. May that year, Port Harcourt, Biafra's top and last port, dropped to Feds. By September 6, 1968, Feds held most Biafra oil zones, stripping Biafra's RAS trade card. Always remember to share our stories, like and subscribe to support us.